talk to all Americans this morning about what has happened in our government. The people we've sent to Washington, our representatives, are not representing us. Over 61% of the American people do not support health care reform and the way it's being handled right now. Yet our representatives, who rely so heavily on polls for everything else under the sun, are not even acknowledging the poll data that shows that we don't support this. We're over $12 trillion in debt, America. We can't spend our way out of this horrible mess we've gotten ourselves into financially. This isn't about ideology. This isn't about political spectrum, what side of the aisle you sit on. It's what's right and what's wrong. Government is not the solution to every single problem that we as Americans face. Let's not forget, this is our money, America. This is our tax dollars, America. It's not the government's money. It's not Senator Reid's money. It's not Nancy Pelosi's money. It's the American tax dollar. It's our money. And all of you in Congress are not being good stewards of our tax dollars. You're spending money that our grandchildren haven't even made yet. I've got 2 children. I'm already putting them in debt because of you and the reckless spending that you're engaging in. How is it that you can hope to take over 1/6 of the American economy when you can't even run Medicare correctly or Medicaid? And you spend all of this money without even reading the bills. How is it that you can spend over $1 trillion, which by the way is a conservative estimate, when you haven't even read what the bill is? President Obama spent more time picking out a dog for his family than you're spending trying to ram through the legislative process a bill that is not bipartisan, that was done behind closed doors, and that you yourselves said you would be transparent in. As I recall, the president, while he was running for office, said that he would have everyone around the table, and they would discuss the issues, and it would be handled and addressed in a very open and bipartisan way. That didn't happen, and it wasn't on C-SPAN either. The president also said that he would go through every bill line by line and make sure that there were no earmarks. I think that's a bold-faced lie. You in Congress continue to be bad stewards of our money, our tax dollars. It's not your money. It's the taxpayers' money, and you're spending it foolishly. I am a taxpayer. I spend quite a bit of money on taxes. And to give you one little example about how health care reform doesn't make sense, you want to say that health care companies or health insurance companies should take on someone that has a pre-existing condition. So they're already sick. Yet you want them to insure them for very low costs. Okay. Well, the concept of insurance is very simple. It's the transfer of risk for premium. Risk is the unknown. So if I already know that you're sick, and I already know that you have an illness, I have to charge you for that. Insurance companies are for-profit organizations. They operate right now on a roughly 3% margin. I wouldn't necessarily call that fat cat or bringing home the bacon. I would say that's barely eking by from a profitability standpoint. So let me use the analogy. So if you go out and wreck your car, Mr. or Mrs. Member of Congress, you can't call the insurance company after you've wrecked the car and say, I'd like to get comp and collision coverage on my vehicle because I just wrecked it, and expect the insurance company to write you a check for the damaged vehicle. It doesn't work that way. You can't do things after the fact. Now, do I believe we should all have affordable health care? Absolutely. Do people get turned away from hospitals? Absolutely they do not. But guess what? When they don't have coverage, the healthcare facility writes that off, and guess who gets to pay for it? All of us, in increased costs through taxes. That's the way it works. So you're not helping us, members of Congress, and please hear the message loud and clear. 61% or more of Americans don't believe what you're doing is right. You rely on the polls for everything else. You think a 7% margin of victory for President Obama was a landslide and a mandate. Well, try 24% difference between people who oppose healthcare reform versus who support it. If you use that same logic, it's much more than a landslide. It's ridiculous. So hear us loud and clear, members of Congress. You should act quickly to make sure that you do what's right, instead of continuing to do everything with your own interests. It's not right. You understand that it's not right. This past summer, town hall meetings, tea parties, the Americans have spoken to you, yet you act as though you haven't heard anything. You act as though we're crazy, fluke, fringe, fanatical people. We're educated Americans, and we want you to be good stewards of our money, or we're going to kick you out of office. It's that simple. You're not doing your job that we sent you to do. You think it's your money, and you want to get earmarks for your districts. You want to continue to spend when our government is $12 trillion in debt. Last time I checked, I can't do that in my household. How is it that you can do it with our tax dollars? Just remember, it's not your money. It's America's tax dollars, and you're not doing a good job. God bless.